Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of light spinning from their mouths. Start looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow bathing in your blood. It's never enough. On the face of all mankind, the numbers up and the dead for the time. Go along to get along in the tide by the siren song. The flames are empty and the crypts are cracking open. The hordes upon you and you stand there frozen, waiting for the word. Stand in line and wait. Don't follow the strings to find out who is pulling. Just drink your poison, keep on laughing and drooling, eating your own flesh. The master always knows what's best. Hello and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. That one's for you, Dusty G, dropping out right as the bass solo hits. Sorry about that. That's how it rolls when you're a bass player. We got a bass player with us tonight. We got Yeti joining us. My name's Cliff, and this is Tim. If y'all don't know us, you're probably on the wrong stream, but we want to thank you for joining us. And it is our Wednesday news and current events roundup, and we're just going to kind of shoot the shit and look at a few news stories around the area. And Yeti has brought some little party favors with him, so we're gonna try
Buttered
some
toast.
of those out. Yes, that's right, buttered toast.
And hot from afar to bring this butter toast.
I wouldn't care for any now. Thank you.
You don't want it on there?
I'm gonna wait until we put the hot honey on it.
Oh, is that what that's for?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna give you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just didn't want to stick my spoon in his honey
it's
pot.
slightly off camera so people wouldn't be able to see that right now. I'm gonna slightly move it in. Yeah. And this is just a jar of pickle juice, in case you were wondering. We've got this thing called the Pickle Juice Challenge. We're going to do in here a little bit. Yeti is going to prove he's a bigger man than us. Not just in size, but also in pickle drinking abilities.
Pickle drinking courage.
Yeah.
Pickle.
What's up, Dalton? Howdy back.
Howdy, howdy, sir. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to tell you this stream is brought to you by Tammy's Artisanal Toys, formerly Tammy's Dildos, until they had a little bit of legal trouble with the name there, so they've switched it up. So for all your adult toy needs, give Tammy a holler.
A holler.
That's right. She likes it when you holler. That means she knows she's done a good job.
Yeah, she's it's one of the wild. It's one of the. I forgot his name. The damn screamer. So many things.
The white blood screamer, the wild blood screamer.
The wild blood screamer buys all of his toys there.
That's right. Why do you think he screams so much?
Her flagship item should be out within the next month. I hope to bring some samples. We might give them away. It is once again the Scotty. Only comes in UT orange. Yeet Rocky Top. What's up, Cliff? Right. What are we doing tonight?
Hey, yeah, we're just gonna look at some news here. I want to try that hot honey, and then what's this there that you got in the ball jar?
That is
the pickle juice jar.
Carolina Reaper infused beverage.
Ooh, all right. Hell yeah, Yeti, says Michael Crow. an adult beverage.
Michael Crow says, "Hell yeah, Yeti."
All right. Well, I'm gonna kill my coffee here, and oh no, that's that. You said I can't really drink that though, right?
That's a more something you just kind of take a little sip,
okay.
a little snifter.
Okay.
You don't.
So you got to be careful with that. Huh?
Is it because it's proof, or is it because it's Reaper? Because I heard that word and it immediately was like.
It is because it is Reaper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Is it a deterrent?
It's not watered down.
It keeps you from getting too trashed. Is that it?
Yeah, you'll probably throw up before you get drunk.
Right.
Oh, well.
I tested some. I'm not like a big connoisseur of these new hot sauces and all these new peppers and stuff, but I like a pretty spicy food and a pretty spicy pepper. But I tried something at the flea market, and it was one of those where they made you sign a waiver. So there were
A lot of those are BS, by the way.
well,
Is that like a hot technique?
yeah, it may be. Yeah, sounds like marketing kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hot, you gotta sign a waiver.
Well-
Think a thing in your head is the match thing like a Looney Tunes.
I'll tell you, this son of a bitch was hot though, because it was like they gave it to you on a toothpick and they just dipped it in it, and I was like, you ain't got a cracker or something I can eat it on so I can taste it? And they're like, nah, just like I got one, but just taste it like that. So I was like, okay. I put it on my tongue, and it had a nice, sweet, smoky flavor to it. It was really good, and I swallowed, and then the turmoil began. From
Is that the name of the hot sauce?
I don't remember what it
Turmoil?
was called, but it would have been a good name for it because it wreaked havoc on my esophagus and then my stomach for about 30 minutes from one little drop of
Start
it.
going down there and start doing the flaming sword dance.
Yeah.
There's a cliche that white people don't like spice, but every time you go to like the Bass Pro Shop, they'll have like 7 different hot sauces that are like Leroy's ass blasting gravy juice. Like blow out your innards, and it's like okay.
Was it, American Dad has the ass blastatorium.
I don't know.
That was an episode I saw. No, white people just take it to a stupid level where it's like we can't have one thing that we like. We have to make 900 versions of it.
Somebody asked me, they said, why do you like such hot stuff? And I said, it makes me feel things.
It does
No,
make
I'm
you feel
alive.
better. It does make you feel better if you eat a bunch of it.
And it's anecdotal evidence because, like, if you eat something that's way above your heat threshold, your brain does an endorphin dump. So
Yeah.
you'll actually get a little euphoric if you eat something that's hot enough that makes you do that. And it's just my own anecdotal, like, talking, but I wonder if, like, the Indian people, they're per capita, they eat more of the world's super hot peppers than anywhere else.
I could tell.
And I wonder if that's part of their spiritual, like, awakening and stuff, because
I do
mean,
believe so.
you're basically endorphin dumping every time you eat some, and if you
Have
eat
you ever
more
had
than
noggins by chance?
Maybe that's also why they keep their bathrooms outside.
Okay, if from experience, I'm not very capsaicin tolerant, but I can tell you, if you eat enough hot stuff, eventually you feel like you're floating about 2 inches off the ground, and you'll start seeing like small geometric patterns and stuff.
yeah,
And I think a lot of that has to do with your pain tolerance just being really confused because it doesn't know what to do with all that heat.
you can absolutely hallucinate from eating things that are too hot. And I wonder if it's because capsaicin doesn't actually have heat. It just tells your brain that it's hot.
Probably, yeah.
So you're not actually getting hot. Once to a certain concentration, it can cause skin irritation and burns, but it's not physically hot when you eat it. So I wonder if that helps with the euphoria, because it's
That's
your
the
brain
theory.
just throwing chemicals up there going, this is hot, you should do something about it.
Well, yeah, it's the theory actually has something to do with the fact that it's making, I think it's A or C, I don't remember, it's been a long time since I've had that. Your fibers fire, but yet there's no actual physical pain, so you're just getting the benefits of all those. What you're saying is true.
Yeah, and then the creator of the
Should we
Carolina
have
Reaper-
like maybe a test here to see, would you like to meet God? You've got enough here.
Yeah, that's a little early on. We want to ruin the fun early on, or wait till a little bit later. But what I was going to say is the guy that came up with the Carolina Reaper. It's more anecdotal evidence, but there is some medical benefits to it, even if it's not been proven that like Indian people, they also tend to have less percentage of cancer cases per capita. And there's, like I said, it's very loose anecdotal
Even amongst
evidence.
their, even amongst like the grimier cities, the cancer is even lower. Oh, that's interesting.
And those areas just, it could be coincidence because it's not been proven or there's been long-term studies, but there's a theory that having a regular diet of like super hot peppers may have some kind of deterrent to like cancer cells kind of forming. It's interesting regardless.
Well,
but,
stress does benefit you. I know, like what you're saying earlier about the, well, I'll just call it stress theory. Yeah. So it makes sense that a little bit of friction, it's necessary for you, a little bit of friction. I think at the like the office lifestyle really is a lot of the modern day problem.
Dalton says heartburn induced hallucinations.
And super hot peppers are actually really good for your digestive system once you get used to them. Like, I like super hot stuff, but like if I just go out and eat a ton of it, it does wreck my stomach the next day. But like if I eat a little bit of it every day, it actually kind of helps your digestive system keep working and moving the way that it should.
Do you find that so I have this theory that I've noticed about 20 years ago, when you would get something that was spicy in say, a restaurant, fast food, or something like that, it tended to actually be a little bit spicy. And then it kind of became a trendy thing to eat spicy foods, and then the spice kind of went away. They started putting spicy foods in at more places. You could get more spicy foods, but they were also watered down.
I would say that's just a marketing thing, because these companies, they want to sell their products, obviously. So if you come out with spicy nacho Doritos and they're too spicy for the general public, they're not going to sell a whole lot.
Exactly.
That's kind of like, Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Like if you scarf down a whole bag of them, the dust will kind of coat your mouth and you'll get a little bit of spice to it. But that's kind of like those ghost pepper tortilla chips that have come out. Not the hot chip challenge, but the ghost pepper one you can just buy in stores. They were disappointing, one, because I don't like the taste of ghost peppers, but two, because they just made the tortilla chip and then put powdered ghost pepper and seasoning on it. And that's another trick that they do with spicy foods, is the powder gets in your saliva and coats your mouth. Mm-hmm. So then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my whole mouth is burning, even if it's not that hot.
Right.
Because you can do the same thing with just regular paprika. You could just mix it in a little bit of water and swish it around. You're like, oh, this tastes way hotter than it should. And I'd hope that actually blended the peppers into the mash and then baked the chips. That I think would be really good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they've definitely lowered the intensity of spicy food you can buy at the grocery store.
Well, like when I remember Wendy's a couple of years ago had ghost pepper fries out, and I was like, oh, they're actually going to put something spicy out, and it was mild at best, because I tried the ghost pepper chicken sandwich, mm-hmm. and then got the ghost pepper fries, and essentially they cored and seeded them and they diced them up really fine, and then it had like liquid cheese on it, which kind of helps balance out heat sensation anyways. It was tasty, except for the ghost peppers, because I don't like those, but it was just it's a little hotter than the regular spicy chicken.
So
yeah.
Which one's hotter then? Is it hotter when something's angry, or is it hotter when it's dead? So the angry Whopper versus the ghost pepper fill in the blank. Like, which one's hotter? Is it hotter to be angry or deceased?
I think the flamethrower burger that they used to have at Dairy Queen was the only thing that was even approaching hot, and it was not that hot either at fast food or anything that I found.
That's like, you can I'd say for restaurants that aren't like Indian food or like specialized where they actually are like using the spices, the best you can hope for is like some whole cut up jalapenos, occasionally some Mexican places that have habaneros. That's about the extent, unless you go to like a specialty shop that does like specifically like authentic foods where they use those spices.
Did you ever go to the Whistle Stop Deli and get their flamethrower Philly?
No.
Now that thing, the Whistle Stop Deli is down in Unicoi County, and they use all fresh. I don't know if it's organic or whatever, but they use the best ingredients to make the sandwiches down there, and they had a flamethrower sub that was I think it was some kind of hot chow relish they had on it, and a I don't remember if it was habanero or whatever, but it was actually a good spicy sandwich. But it was so hot you really couldn't eat but about half of it. And I enjoyed that one. But it's like $15, but it's like you know.
I think the somebody had a question.
Dalton says I've been to Costa Rica 3 times and they've got some good hot food down there. All the food is good there. Period. Costa Rica. I've never been.
I bet it is, because that's one thing. Like, I don't eat out a lot, but I really wish that there were more authentic food options, like from other regions and countries. Like, because and it's a smaller town, so I understand that. But like, I would like to be able to go and get some authentic Indian food or some authentic Caribbean food, or even authentic Mexican food, because even the Mexican restaurants are still Americanized Mexican food.
Well, they actually have at El Charolais here in Elizabeth and Johnson City. They actually have an authentic Mexican menu where it's like one page of the menu is actual, authentic Mexican dishes. So the tacos are like just like meat and radishes and maybe cilantro or something, meat and radishes and cilantro. I don't remember, but it's definitely not your standard Mexican restaurant fare, and they have about a whole page of it. I've tried something off of it. It was pretty good. I don't even remember what it was. It was just like a plate of slop, but it was good.
Yeah, that's just even like Chinese restaurants. They're Americanized, and I like some Chinese food, but like all the stuff's extra sweet, and they dole down the spices.
Oh yeah.
And they have Americanized Chinese dishes that aren't even really Chinese.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of the stuff when it gets over here, we ruin it. Okay, and then some of it we get over here and we absolutely fix it. And I don't mean to take dumps on cultures, but hey Moose, when I was off in Thailand taking that $1.50 cruise that we took, I was hungry the whole time. I'm not, and by the time we got back there was a Burger King on the way back, and me and this like 2 guys from Pakistan about knocked each other over trying to get there because we've been hungry. Because I'm sorry, they're just it's not good. Like, you never know what they're serving you.
Eat a lot of bugs over there.
And I mean, it makes sense. Like, once you realize that the protein sources are, I mean, it's nothing for them to be serving like scorpions on a stick on like food carts and stuff. So I'm not sitting here trying to be bougie and be like, oh no, my chicken nuggets aren't 100%. It's just, you don't know if that's a chicken nugget because it's probably not. Number one,
could be a rat nugget.
I'm sorry, Italian pizza, real Italian pizza. It's not. It's just bread with some cheese melted on it, and then fresh veggies cut up on it. And you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, you can't.
Real Italian pizza is basically just cheese bread.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I like cheese bread, but our understanding of pizza is like American.
What's your favorite pepper, since you brought in the pepper thing here, and you said you don't like the ghosts?
Carolina Reaper.
Okay, how's that different from a ghost and a Reaper? Because they're both habanero looking, aren't they?
Yeah, and the Carolina Reaper is basically like a cross of I think the ghost pepper, and I can't remember which other one right offhand, but it actually has a sweeter flavor.
Okay.
It actually has a bit of almost like a dark chocolate flavor.
That's weird.
And like, it takes a little bit for the heat to kind of bloom. So like, you actually get the taste like of the pepper.
It's not just heat in your face.
And it's not just heat. That's one thing I like about the honey I made, is it's not super hot.
So this is what now?
Let's try a little of this on
the hot honey.
Let's go
I
ahead
basically just took a hot honey recipe that they'd say like use jalapenos.
Is this angle here good for this? I know that's weird, but people do complain about weird stuff, so I keep talking now.
Oh, you're fine.
You want to spread this for us?
Well,
you want to do it, Cliff? I feel weird touching. It's your plate and it's your honey. I feel like a weird third wheel here, guys.
Well, that, and I figured you got, if you're going to taste it, you can decide how much you want.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like going to burn your face off hot.
Right.
This is probably like heat intensity, probably about the heat level of like a jalapeno.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's not hot. It's not hot.
Let's try give it a go here.
But you can actually taste the pepper in it. Like,
do you grow peppers by chance?
I didn't get to grow any this year because I just didn't get a chance to go get the plants and pot them. But last year I grew some Carolina Reapers and some Trinidad scorpion peppers.
You growing any peppers, Tim?
I've grown quite a bit of peppers. I'll bring some. They might not. They don't have anything fancy like that. But I got only thing fancy that I'll give you is it's a Thai dwarf pepper. It's not super high on the thing, but it's still pretty cool.
Thai peppers are pretty good.
I'll let you get that lid for me, please.
I like to grow weird stuff and then just give it away. Oh, you didn't spread it.
But no,
Hey, that's tasty.
Yeah, it's really good.
You want half of this?
Yeah, I'll take half of it. Yeah, it's really good, and I think I made a quart of honey, and then
that bread too much.
one dried pepper for the whole quart, and then a little bit of vinegar in it to just kind of balance it out.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good on pizza. It's good on biscuits, chicken,
Ed and Eddie, butter toast. Here we go.
Asian
Oh,
food.
Lord.
It's good on Asian food.
I'm not good with hot stuff, so I'm just gonna
It's not
warn you.
super
It's
hot,
probably
dude.
gonna
It's
make my. Yeah, well, maybe you're a bigger man than me. You ever thought about that?
But you get the honey first.
Not really.
You get the honey first because it's mostly honey, but then like you actually get the aftertaste of the pepper.
In case you're wondering, this is sponsored by Yeti's Honey.
It's good. Dalton
Okay.
says I got a good bit of peppers growing. Most aren't hot, but some are. I had some jalapenos grew a couple years ago. I was telling Yeti earlier, they were like freakishly hot for jalapenos. And I had some that I let grow all the way to the end of the season. They ended up really sweet.
Were they big? Because
Yeah,
I've heard
they
the bigger the
got pretty
pepper,
big, yeah.
the more spaced out it gets, the less hot it gets. But I don't know if that's true. We have a pepper expert here that might tell you if that's true, though.
I'm not sure about the concentration for size of the pepper, but I do know the super hots are usually pretty small. So I don't know if there's truth to that or not. But I always joke and say that a good picture of a Carolina Reaper, I always call it Satan's testicles. 'Cause it looks like a little knurled red, like devil ball sack.
Red pet sack. Jeez.
Gonna eat some Satan's
Seth
throat.
from Food City.
You got me wondering.
Right here. Seth from Food City, if you see this, I know it's been 17 years. There's no such thing as a Bafuta pepper. I'm sorry, it's not the hottest pepper on the planet. It's not the size of a snow pea, and you'll never get the chance to challenge your manhood on it. That just popped in my head. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist. And
That's crazy that
There we
you
go.
remember it after 17 years.
I'm sure he's Googled it by this point.
An apology is an apology, you know. What's funny is there are some super hot peppers that look like berries. Mm-hmm. They're small and round,
Are they called Bafutas?
Oh, yeah.
and I don't think they're called.
Well, like, oh shit, have I quartered myself?
I've accidentally told you the truth, and I thought it was a lie.
I trolled myself, damn it.
But they do. They look like little berries, and the way they grow on their pepper bush, you can mistake them for berries. And they're not in the same league as ghost peppers and Carolina Reapers, but they're still classified as super hots. And that would be a mistake that you'd probably only make once.
Yeah.
Oh, a handful of berries.
Oh, geez.
Now, you said it could cause some skin irritation, right? But capsaicin can really, like, fuck your eyes up, can it?
Well, yeah. If you get it in your eyes, it can.
Isn't that what they
Yeah, that's-
spray?
because,
Capsaicin? Like when they hit
yeah, that's what does it in the
bear
pepper
spray or
yeah.
whatever. Oh.
Because it's weird because like it can mess with your eyes, and you get it on your skin in a high enough concentration, it still tells your brain that what's on you is physically burning.
But it's not actually burning you. Your skin is just reacting to it, kind of like an allergic reaction, where you're
Yeah.
not actually being harmed by the bee sting or the peanut or whatever it is. It's just that your brain is shutting your body down because of it.
Yeah. Because I accidentally pepper sprayed myself making hot sauce a few years ago.
Yeah.
As I made basically, well, having a brain fart, basically a sriracha sauce, but instead of jalapenos, I used whole habaneros. I just blended them up and then did the garlic and cooked it down on the stove. But when I went to wash my blender, I wasn't thinking about it, and I just took my sprayer and just sprayed the inside of it out, which aerosolized it
Oh, yeah.
right up into my
Oh,
face.
gosh, yeah.
And yeah, I had to take my dogs outside and open the doors and like let it air out because yeah, I'd essentially just pepper sprayed myself right in the face.
I didn't have it on that level. I did something a little bit more, a little less painful, a little bit more Dumb and Dumber-esque, stupid looking. I was cutting jalapenos for food, and I got some jalapeno seeds stuck like up under my nail, and I couldn't get them out. And I was doing that, and finally I took my finger, and I meant to do it that way, and I literally just flicked, and 2 seeds went right in my eye. I felt them stick to the eye, and I had like dig them out, and then my eye. It has to be at least a little bit what pepper spray is like to have a jalapeno seed literally stick to your eyeball.
Yeah, I mean like jalapenos aren't super hot for taste wise,
in your
but
eyeball,
like
though.
jalapeno juice in your eyes still burns pretty
Dalton
bad.
says a brain fart's better than a brain shart. Yeah, you're right about that. Hey, listen, one night I was at the Holy Taco Cantina.
I'm interested
in
where this is
downtown
going to go
Dawson
because
City.
he said brain shark, and now you're mentioning tacos. Keep going.
Well, don't mind if I do. I was down there, and there were some guys when I walked in, and they were daring one another to snort different spicy foods. Like they were snorting, like a guy was said, "I'll give you $20 if you'll snort some of this hot sauce off of this dime," or something like that. And they were going back and forth doing this, and one of them finally said, "Well, I'll give $100 to whoever will chop up this jalapeno." They'd take a quarter and pour hot
Quarter
sauce on
dime
it.
might make its way up in there
Well,
if you got enough pull.
That's what that's what they started on. Well, then the guy says, "Well, I'll pay somebody $100 if they'll chop up a habanero and snort it." And
God.
so somebody said, "Well, hell, I'll do it for 50." And then these people started arguing over who wanted to do it for $50. And eventually, one guy did it for $40, chopped up a jalapeno, snorted it, and the guy ran into the bathroom and was back there throwing up. Anyway, he was back there for a while, and so the staff said, "Hey, man, you can't be in the bathroom throwing up like that. Like you can go back."
What's he supposed to do?
Well,
Go throw up out
no,
front.
he was done. He was done throwing up, but he was washing his face and stuff and crying in the sink. And they're like, "Hey, you can't just be taking up our bathroom all night." So they let him go out back and took him to like a sink that they had out there.
Get him a little eye wash
Yeah.
going for his nose.
He was doing it for the rest of the time I was eating there, and then we went and played pool for I don't know 3 or 4 hours, and came back, and dude was still in that sink back there.
Yeah, I imagine
washing
so.
his face off. Yeah. So that did some kind of damage to him from that habanero.
You're talking about him snorting it. That remind me of the show Hot Wings on YouTube, where they do the hot wing challenge. Aubrey Plaza, she was on there, and she'd got into some of the super hot stuff. And she actually had a glass of milk. She ended up snorting her milk.
Well, it probably cooled down her sinuses a little
It
bit.
probably helped, yeah. Well, hey, let's before we get into the news, let's have a little taste of this. What is it? Is it scorpion pepper or
This is the Carolina Reaper.
Carolina
pepper.
Reaper? How's the best way for me to try that without destroying myself?
Well, nobody brought a paper towel, did they?
No.
I always bring paper towels.
Got some in my pocket.
Here's some bounty.
Let's see.
Well, what y'all
Pour
want to
some. What we got here?
Yeah, because I was gonna say I don't care if people drink out of it, still, because you don't want a big old gulp. You just kind of want to get some in your mouth.
You want a way to control the intake.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna touch it to my touch it to my lips here.
Yeah,
So
just get you a little taste, because it is hot. And if you do get it on your fingers,
Be a man and drink it out of that empty bullet over there. I always felt like that was a little bit more than I would have done.
Yeah, that's got some bite to it.
It does, yes.
I think I'm gonna wait a minute because I caught a whiff of that. I don't think I'm ready for it.
It's pretty hot.
I'm gonna wait.
It is tasty.
I'm gonna wait till I get down about here, and then I'm gonna take it out of my Dr. Enough lid, and then I'll use the rest to panic.
Like it's got a good flavor.
It does.
and it's cheap tequila.
It's not
nothing
kill. It's
special,
not
yeah.
kill you hot,
Yeah.
but I mean from a taste. But
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to drink much of it.
yeah. From this, you wouldn't want to drink a bunch of it straight. But
So
like,
so what's the point?
honestly, it's the first pepper infused alcohol that I'd ever tried.
Okay.
And I was just
Just
doing
wanted to try it.
Yeah, I was just doing it to try it, and then like this, like to get the flavor to where it's consumable in like a larger amount, I'd probably mix this with more non-infused tequila.
Did you intend for it to be that hot, or
No.
did you just not really
And,
know how hot it would be?
Well, I took I think 16 ounces or maybe 12 ounces, I can't remember, and I muddled one whole Carolina Reaper and then infused it for 24 hours and strained it.
I'm gonna take some off his honey here.
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't want both of us to be taking spoon like
Yeah.
two 12-year-olds taking NyQuil back in the
Yeah, like I said, just get you a little bit. Yeah, just get you a little bit. It don't take much to get the flavor.
I need a little bit of this to wash it down.
Is that enough, you think?
That's probably more than you need if you're not super big on spices.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wouldn't drink.
You wouldn't do that? Did you do more than that?
No, I did less than that.
I hate to waste
and-
it, but
No,
here
just go ahead and dump it out.
Is that better?
Yeah, I still wouldn't drink all that if you're not good on spices.
Really?
I'd just taste a little.
Well, now
tiny
you're
bit
making it
first.
feel like it's a challenge, man. I'm feeling like I have to. There's a little bit of honey mixed in with that now. And I'm starting to think that this would be a good solvent if you're into chemistry, because that honey is starting to come off that spoon and mix in. Now we have a golden liquid that I'm excited to eat. I'm going to call this Super Saiyan sauce, and it's a nice golden color.
In honor of Goku's first Super Saiyan anniversary
All
last
right,
Sunday.
here we go, boys.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm actually
geez.
wearing Dragon Ball stuff
Yep.
right now.
I can actually see the oils floating on top of it, where it's breaking it down. All right, what's that going to do? Is it solvents my innards? Here we go.
Woo!
So you can get the flavor, and then the heat will come.
Oh yeah, it's already there.
Yeah, it doesn't take long for the heat to
I'm
come.
already on fire, man.
Yeah. And what's funny is I think in liquid form, the heat comes on faster. Like if you actually just eat a piece of the pepper,
Yeah.
you actually get a little bit of time to chew it up before it comes in.
How's that feel, Tim?
Oh, I'm composing myself real well right now. I just want you to know I'm proud. I'm real proud of myself.
Are you having a brain short?
Every time that I swallow, he said, every time I swallow, I can feel every inch of my esophagus got like water. It's like it's hot.
It's giving you a little
It's like
massage.
it's turned my esophagus into such a different texture that I notice it for the first time, and I can feel it. So that's a weird sensation.
It's been a while since I've actually tasted this, so it might knock me on my ass because I haven't been eating a lot of hot shit lately.
I mean, I heard a gulp. How much did you take?
You just had a sip.
I heard a gulp. That was a noticeable gulp.
Well, Yeti's a
Closer
large
to
man.
12.
His sip is probably larger than most people's gulps.
That's true. Yeah, that's a bit more than I would care to do, especially if I was on the. That would be a good way to control yourself from getting too trashed, though. I tell you that.
Yeah, it would. I got a little. There's a little something there if you need something to wash it down with.
Now, one thing I think this would actually be good at. Oh, got a hiccup.
Hey,
It's been a while. Is mix this with non-infused tequila, and then throw it in the Bloody Mary.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
now that does sound good.
Bloody Mary
I like a
territory.
spicy Bloody Mary.
You ever had kava kava?
I don't think so.
Okay, if anybody's listening has had kava kava, all you witchy people and just potheads, it's like a replacement that they started serving for like alcohol. It's like a downer, but it's real mild. But when you drink kava kava, it makes your mouth, like your lips and stuff, go numb, and that's what that did.
Yeah, I
Only through heat.
got a big enough drink that it's blooming in my mouth really
Yeah.
nice right now.
My lips are the only place I still feel it now. I feel a little bit on my tongue, but it's
Yeah, you're right. I
mostly
think
gone
if I
away
tried to get drunk on that, I'd throw up.
Yeah, this isn't a drinking. It's not even really a sipping whiskey.
now. No, it's a tasting tequila.
That's an experiment that you're like, yeah, we need another liter of tequila to pour that into.
I call that Yetimusmaximus.
Well, we were talking about bear mace, and
Okay.
Good segue.
yeah, remember last week we told you about the bears activity in the campgrounds in our Welcome to Appalachia segment, where we told you what should be common sense, but if you're outside and you leave food out, the bears are out this time of year and they're going to come and try to get it. And if they find it once, they're going to come back looking for it again. Bears are creatures of habits. So, whoops, kick the camera stand there. But we're going to have problems with bears coming in campgrounds if people don't keep up with their stuff. Well, this bear in Wears Valley, Tennessee was
Weirs or Wares?
Wears
I'd
Valley.
say that
Yeah,
Wares Valley, because I'm like,
you're right. That's what it is.
Weir would be an I.
But they found a black bear with a plastic container stuck on its head.
Can any of you feel the hair growing on your body after that sip? No, in fact, I can feel like the hairs on my nose singeing.
Yeah, they're burning.
I'm starting to break a sweat from the gulp that I had. I feel it beating up on my forehead, like literally.
Yeah, it did have a gulp. He said it was a gulp.
No, we're in moonshine country, so we've had plenty of chance to get chest hairs.
Yep. I was
Pour you a couple of shots of that in the jar back there.
at a gas station down in Greenville. I was going through
Joke on some people.
Johnny's Market, and they were telling me these old men were sitting down there, and you know how the old men will sit around the gas station, and they said, right over there's some coffee. I was getting me some coffee. They said, that'll put some hair on your chest. I said, where's the coffee that'll put hair on my head? That's the one I want to drink.
That's a good product for you to make.
Yeah.
Talking about coffee, I like how people are like, you like strong coffee, you better like mine because that's strong. And I'm like, I used to just eat dry Folgers before I went to high school.
Yeah.
I like to eat, well, I did back in the day. I used to eat an occasional whole coffee bean.
Yeah, whole coffee beans are good.
See if it's going to actually let it
Especially on a
show.
little tiramisu.
Yeah.
That's not even. Oh, it's just an ad.
You into some tiramisu?
I love tiramisu. Blackbird Bakery.
Blackbird Baker has some good tiramisu. Yep.
That's the way to do it. Bristol, Tennessee, or Bristol. Yeah, it is Tennessee. Ain't it?
No, they're
it's
Virginia.
side.
They're
Yeah.
the Virginia side.
Yep. Bristol, Virginia, Blackbird Bakery. Man, all your confections and cakes, whatever it is,
Except on Monday.
they make it good. Well, yeah, they found the bear. The TWAR found the bear. That was first spotted on June 13 in Wears Valley.
Wears Valley. That sounds like a Winnie the Pooh side spin-off kind of book. He's over in Wears Valley.
It kind of does, yeah. And the call came in for Monday. Somebody spotted the animal the 13th with a food container on its head, and at least 7 days since it was first spotted, it had that container on it. And there's a picture of it up in the tree.
What's it
with the container on its head? It's got a food it's got a
it's got a food
bottle on its
container
head.
stuck on its head.
Yeah.
Silly bear.
Yeah, so they called in. Yeah, they called in. Luckily, the TWRA did come in and rescue the animal. A local business brought a ladder to the area, and they
tranquilize it, shoot with the dart.
They climbed up and put a catch pole around him, and that was able to put tension on the container, so the bear was able to pull its head out.
Oh, okay,
and
they didn't have to bring it down and.
Yeah, they took it to a rescue facility. Said it's recovering there. So, yeah, always secure your garbage and crush or recycle your food containers, and put them in the trash is the main thing.
Yeah, definitely, because that'll put people in danger, and then it also harms animals. Like in this case, if they hadn't found it, that bear would end up starving to death.
Yeah, look at that. Look at one of those cheese puff balls, cheese puff jars or something.
That long.
Yeah, it must have just had enough to get around the edges of it for it to be all right. But yeah, so welcome to Appalachia. Keep your trash up, and remember, cigarette butts are trash.
Yep.
They're not some magical thing that's exempt from being trash. So if you throw it out your car window, you are polluting, and it's not good.
They do a lot of harm to birds, and rabbits will eat them too.
Fish will eat them.
Yeah.
If you are enjoying, here's something I could never understand. When I would go out into the woods and go camping on a trail that you actually had to hike a bit or take a boat ride to get to, and people have just thrown trash and stuff everywhere. It's like, obviously you enjoy the outdoors enough to want to spend time out here. How can you then go throw your beer bottles and whatever else trash you have and just leave it there? And I just never got the
I'll explain it to you real quickly. It's wastefulness, okay? You think it's just like disregard for beauty or whatever, but it's actually just bad finance. So let me explain. Cigarette butt. Puff, 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 right? Mm-hmm. You're going to take that butt and throw it away, right? No, I say. You're supposed to save all those butts. How many comes in a pack now? 12, 24? We'll say 20.
20.
20? Mm-hmm. Weird number.
Always.
Put 20 back down inside that pack, right? You've got 20 cigarette butts, right?
Yeah.
Put that sucker away. Let's wait till you've got a whole carton. You've got a whole carton of cigarette butts. You take those cigarette butts, you put it down inside this pickle water. This is a solvent, right? This solvent is now going to break all that wasted nicotine that you got left inside that filter, which you can either leave out in the sunlight. Alcohol's going to evaporate. This whole thing would be gone in an hour in full sunlight because it's alcohol.
Yeah.
Or you drink it and crossfade. I don't know what nicotine and alcohol and sriracha sauce would do to you on an emotional level, but
Probably have enough nicotine to give you nicotine poisoning.
there you go. You let it air down into like a free-base chemical, and bam, you've got your own free-base nicotine. Children, you can save so much money if you don't litter.
This video is not for children. If there's children watching this, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Littering is, I thought it said humble.
Littering is horrible
Dalton,
and lazy.
you edgelord.
On the point of littering and him talking about saving your cigarette pack and putting your butts in, that actually reminded me, like in Japan, if you buy packs of chewing gum, like the little containers, like the little cube containers,
Yeah.
they actually come with a tiny little pack of mini Post-it notes basically inside of it. Because over there, it's a cultural thing that they don't throw their gum on the ground. Mm-hmm. They actually take the little piece of Post-it note, and when they're done with their gum, they wrap it up in the paper, put it in their pocket, and then they wait till they get to a trash can. And the cigarette pack thing, that just reminded me of that's a cultural thing. So, other cultures can do that. People can learn to
Maybe
put their trash in their pocket.
we should buy a lot of desert land. Hear me out. We should buy a lot of desert land, cheap, and then start a culture of litter, sort of like the old Smokey dude on Courage the Cowardly Dog, and then like encourage all the filthiest people to come to her as Pied Piper style. Litter culture, baby, and then we just peace out, and then we put that wall up that Trump was talking about. Only we do it around this one small section of wherever we put it.
The wall's going to be made of garbage.
Yeah, there we go. We can make the wall of garbage. It'll even feed itself. That's what I'm talking
Go ahead, you can try to climb over the wall, but you can't do it.
about. The litter wall.
Well, let's get on to a couple more news stories here. We've got the Tennessee Secretary of State,
DUI.
Trey Hargett. He got a DUI
He
after
did get
Bonnaroo. He did get charged, and
Why
we've
does he
got
get
some
charged
more.
and Nancy's
We got
husband
some
doesn't?
more details here. Well, I think that question's obvious, or that answer's
I'm
obvious.
just saying, it's both drunk driving.
It was
Isn't it?
in Nashville. Coffee County Court has released new details surrounding the arrest of Tennessee Secretary of State Trey Hargett after he was charged with driving under the influence after leaving Bonnaroo Music Festival. So, I'm not real familiar with Trey Hargett or his work, to be honest, and I'm not really even
He's at
familiar.
Bonnaroo, so he sounds like he's pretty. Keep going.
Well, you said he looked like a guy selling balloons at Bonnaroo or selling.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying there's levels of fun people, and some people you
That's
can hang
fun.
with, and some people you just don't trust.
I'm trying to find his mugshot there, but it's
It
not.
kept showing the poor
Yeah.
dude with the very black eye. Let's say he has like a plum
Yeah,
below
showing
it.
somebody looks like a. Yeah, he might have tried to fight the cops, or maybe they just decided to whoop his ass.
The
You
law
never
really
can
did
tell about
win.
these things. Yeah. Well, according to court records, on June 18th, an officer observed Hargett's vehicle leaving Bar 315 in Tullahoma and saw the vehicle riding on several lane markings while it traveled down Anderson Street, East Carroll, and Wilson Avenue. And he stopped the vehicle and he detected an odor of an intoxicant. Don't you love those police
Detected
language?
an odor
We
of
detected an odor of an intoxicant from this particular individual.
I wish they would write like for example, I think the Elizabeth and Star could sell a whole lot more papers if they would write it the way we talk. They smelt liquor. They smelt liquor on his breath, so they decided to do a search.
Or it'd be funny if they used the other excuse for like entering somebody. I heard someone screaming for help in the passenger seat of his car.
Hey, there's my Uncle Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. I'm going to reach out to you very shortly. So, yeah, he got caught, and let's see what else we got here. They said his eyes were glossy, and that's what.
That may have been the what's that stuff called? Nitrous.
Who knows? The officer says Hargett kept
Nitrous.
repeating "yes, sir" at inappropriate times, even when he had not been asked a question. And they said he performed poorly on several field sobriety tests, and a passenger in the vehicle told the officer that he and Hargett had been drinking for 4 hours earlier prior to the stop. You're like, shut up, bro! Gosh, Trey, you got to get better riding companions there. You shouldn't be driving drunk, but you at least got to have somebody that's not going to like.
Okay, here's my problem. You ready for that? Okay. Here's why I'm not Team Trey. You know, because like I remember back when I was a young kid, the whole world cheered, and we said Bill Clinton's pretty cool because he admitted to smoking marijuana. Oh, you know, but like Trey, like I admire that you went to Bonnaroo because it means you're on some level at least in touch with humanity, although a very normie level of humanity. You're a politician. You can't get a DD. Like, you're not covering your own ass on that level. You're not fit for Washington. If you didn't fight, you couldn't have found like an intern to just be like, "Hey, buddy, you're gonna drive. I'm gonna make sure you're set when I get in office, but you're gonna drive our asses around Bonnaroo
shit.
for 3 days.
No shit.
You're not cut to be out a politician if you can't find
you're
a
not gonna
DD
last
for
long.
crying out loud, man.
My buddies Aaron and Lucas got me to drive I even volunteered when we went to see Hank 4. So even my buddies Aaron and Lucas can figure out how to get a DD. Surely you're the Secretary of State. You can figure it out. But yeah, I agree. I'm not on Team Trey. I don't make any excuses for it. If you're in that position, especially, you've got to, you should be up to the task of at least not driving drunk. But
Yeah, at the very minimum.
Okay, I'll say this. Ted, is his name Ted?
no, Trey.
Trey, I don't think you're going to win this next election. But what I think you need to do is go back to Bonnaroo next year send us an email at theironmountainhour@gmail.com. I will come join you. We will get geeked out on so much Molly and other things that you've never even heard of, and I will show you what a DD is. You obviously don't know the hip new youngsters lingo that's been around since the 50s, what a DD is, but I'm going to show you what this new thing is.
Well, he consented to a blood sample, and the results are still pending, according to Coffee County.
Well, you don't have to do.
I guess we'll see what happens. Well, you know what would happen if it came back and said that there was nothing. I mean, you should have a blood test back then. I had to take a blood test one time at
Yeah,
work.
but don't you? If you just simply fail a sobriety test, that counts, doesn't it?
Well,
Because
you would think,
intoxicated, because
especially
even
when
if
they
you
got it
failed
on.
one because you're sleepy, that counts. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
and they've got it
I
on
think
camera.
They'll
I'm sure.
charge you, yeah. Even if your blood comes back like, oh, there's nothing in your blood, they're like, well, he failed a sobriety test, so he was under the influence of something.
Yeah.
Even if it was just being sleepy.
I was just being silly, man. I was just playing around.
I swear that cat ran right out in front of me
Yeah.
for 15 miles, swerving over the line.
Well, here's our next story.
Oh, did y'all hear? I mean, I don't
What?
need to jump the gun.
No,
You
what?
might even have this. Did you hear about the dude that died off a state line?
I did. I didn't
was
get any
wondering what that was
details
all
on it or
about.
anything. I didn't find any details on it.
Apparently, there was no foul play suspected, but it was just right off the Tweetsie Trail behind that bit was an automotive building right off of Bob Little.
I think we got it right.
State
here.
line.
No, that's the bit. They found a
Dead near boat ramp.
dead
Damn,
man
we got
near the
people
boat
dying
ramp.
everywhere.
Yep. That's in Hawkins County, and they're looking for a missing swimmer too. But where's the one?
Now, if anybody finds
That's
this
not
and
up
they
there,
are
no.
a touristy person coming here, don't swim in the Watauga by yourself. There are parts of it that are so cold it will freeze you to death, literally. You'll just sink
Oh,
and
the
die.
Watauga River. Shoot, yeah, even in the middle of summer.
I'm just wondering if the guy that was found off the trail dead, they suspected no foul play. I'm wondering if it wasn't related to the Tweetsie Trail. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of old timers that
And
like
it
that.
gets hot.
And
on
it has
that.
been very hot. I'm just wondering how long it's going to take before one of them,
Yeah, somebody could have very easily had a heat stroke or something.
Yeah.
When nobody was around, they just fell over dead.
that's what I'm thinking. I hate that my mind always goes there, but
And it's a lot easier to suffer from a heat stroke or heat sickness than people think.
I thought I was going to die on the toilet this last time I had the flu. I'm not even kidding. I remember I was sitting there pooping. Sorry, let's be real. And I remember my hands had like crossed into themselves, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is what dehydration is." And I had to like pogo stick my way to the sink and turn it on with my nose and like sit there and drink water until I could feel the water going into my skin again.
Spill the tea all over me. Says adult sudden death syndrome is on the rise. Yeah, we talked about that last week. They are. A lot of people were saying it's a totally new thing. It's not. It's been
I
around.
think it's cardiovascular related.
They a lot of it is, but there is an increase in it, and there are doctors saying, "Hey, we're seeing an uptick in this. We need to start figuring out why." A lot of people are attributing it to the vaccines, but it's hard to really know. But there is an uptick in it apparently, according to some doctors, and it has been in the news a lot
Now,
lately.
is this the same thing? The adult. Is this what they suspect was like these young soccer players would die on the field of?
Well,
Similar.
actually, when you see that, they're always like, "Well, no, we want to be clear. This was not from the vaccine." But I mean, it's hard to tell when you give a new drug to so many people all at once.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to really, if it does affect somebody negatively, it's going to be hard to really dial down what it was that actually caused it. So it's hard to really know with just. There's so it's so widespread and so much information that
I have
they really go
theories.
through.
I have a pretty good theory. I just don't like putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them some of them you don't want to put out there. I understand.
Well, like, it's an awful lot of blood clots, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Awful lot of blood clots.
And a lot of those blood clots look really strange. They don't look like, I mean, some of them are like 2 feet long and they're not made out of blood. So it's like, it looks like it's made out of like intestinal, lining. I don't know. I'm not
I
a
mean, I
coroner.
don't know what
But
blood clots supposed to look like.
The
but I mean,
coroners and the morticians are the ones who are saying that these things are strange. So it's not me saying it. It's just me saying that they're saying it. But let's get on to the next story here. We got Sullivan County
God
deputy.
dang, Cliff, would you stop looking at hentai every week? I'm not kidding. Like, everybody thinks that when I make these jokes, Cliff's into some stuff, man. Cliff's like, we just be sitting and all of a sudden he just likes to
Instantly
pull
clear
up
everyday
some stuff.
collection. Where did you see hentai?
Next to the Sonic, like,
Oh,
or he's also got a page pulled up from DeviantArt where it's like Sonic having sex with Pikachu for some reason. This is like some Chris Chan stuff. What is this?
I will. Oh man, I'll have to tell you something off camera. It's not fit for for broadband broadcast. So, but yeah, remind me about that. But let's see if I can find this story now here about this feller. Where'd he go? I had him up here. No, he's gone now. Well, there was a feller over in Sullivan County. He was a sheriff's deputy, and he got arrested for theft because he was clocking in when he wasn't on the time card. And my kind of thinking was, well, he was probably being more useful, just punching the timesheet. For all that we've seen that the police have been good for here lately, it's no wonder. But here was something that they did. They seized a heroin house in East Tennessee in Lenoir City.
Was it really heroin?
Yeah, I don't know. The house had been connected to several deadly overdoses, a shooting that left a 20-year-old dead, and a stabbing. So I'd say it's some kind of drug involved there.
Yeah. But the only reason I asked if it was heroin, just heroin. Man, I said that like a dang hick, didn't I? The only reason I was asking if it was heroin because I remember looking at a News Channel 11 article one time, and it was. It was 10,000 pounds of LSD seized. That was exactly what it was. LSD, right? And you're like, oh my God, I want to see what this looks like. It's just like reams of paper. And it was a bunch of mason jars full of dried up like mushroom cakes that weren't even usable anymore. And I was like, you guys don't even know what your psychedelics are. No. And that's definitely not 10,000 pounds of water and glass.
Well, listen to this. It says, White is calling this a heroin house. He hoped that when the house was seized following discovery in a meth lab, the person who owned it would turn their life around. However, White says a month-long investigation found this didn't happen.
You're getting your house seized for heroin. I don't think you're gonna turn around in a month.
You got it seized for meth and then turn around. And
he didn't turn his life around. He went from meth to heroin.
Well,
that meth's too dangerous.
He's cleaning himself up. God, meth compared to heroin.
We gotta clean up our lives and get out of this meth business.
The meth market around here is oversaturated. You know what we need? Heroin.
We need to go back to some old school.
Well, now let's go on to this story here. This was kind of going to be the main theme of the show because we're kind of getting down to the end of it. Now, I did have this News 5 investigates who's behind ads targeting local broadband plans. So apparently there's a lot of Facebook and Instagram ads coming out that are targeting Elizabethton Electric and Greenville Light and Power System and claiming broadband plans by the local utilities would cost taxpayers millions and cause them boondoggles.
Wow, I like that word.
And there's a lot of people who are saying, and I think that News Channel 5 is implying here, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it seems like they're kind of implying that some of the cable companies like Charter and Comcast, Lumen for CenturyLink, they say that they tried to reach out to Charter and Comcast and ask if they funded these ads, and a representative from Lumen, the parent company of CenturyLink, said the company did not fund the ads. But my thinking is this: these are local utilities who are looking at adding fiber or broadband. I think Johnson Cities already has fiber through the Bright Ridge, and it would make sense for these companies to run ads against that, and it is going to cost a lot of money if these things go in. So I think that the marketing that I've seen for this from the local utilities has just been like, who doesn't want a faster internet? Yay, and it's like, okay, but nobody's really talked about what actually that entails, and is it worth us all as local communities spending all the money to have that infrastructure put in when
I think it's going to be
what?
I think they're going to, like for right now, like they're saying to go from 3 to 4 to 5 every time they boost all the power coming out of it. I'm sorry, people, I'm going to say this like a hayseed every time. When they boost the power, they also have to shrink the amount of space between towers. Like the amount of 5G towers compared to 4, there's a lot more 5G towers. They had to put more in to get speed, right? So how far away before are we going to be, like 6, 7, or 8G before, instead of them putting up new towers, they're going to say, no. All you got to do is buy this little 9G thing here and set it up in the top of your house, and your whole house is going to be
force everybody
G.
to buy their own hotspot. That
Well,
Yeah, not even force.
That's
That's
kinda
kind of
what-
coerce everybody to have their own G's, and then everybody's gonna have their own little. I don't know why I keep holding this up. Everybody's gonna have their own little G tower on top of every building. It's gonna look like a steeple in every house.
And that's kind of where I'm leading to with this. This is run through the local utilities, which run through the TVA. We already know about how the TVA is trying to buy data about what we're doing on the internet and all kinds of different stuff that they're collecting from the smart poles that are going in Johnson City and in other places. We see Chattanooga is also it's becoming a World Economic Forum smart city for one of their 50 pilot programs all over the world.
Certainly looks like the Appalachian Highlands are involved too.
And we seem like we're following that. Yes, we do. And so that makes me think, well, this is more data that they're going to be collecting through the TVA. But realistically, it's like, I've heard the point made before. If you had asked someone, say Henry Ford goes around and he's asking people in the late 1890s, what do they really want? And they'd probably say a faster horse. And there was this problem of the government's trying to clean up all the horse shit all over the cities because everybody rode horses. And just think they were on the verge of like investing all this money into horse shit cleaning programs and all this stuff when the technological advancement came along and it moved and this kind of the car just made things go a whole different way. It changed the way that we ran cities. It changed a lot of technology. But then you've got the internet.
Ding.
It's already here and it's already expanding. You got things like Starlink. You got satellite internet. You've got a lot of different options. You've got cable companies doing broadband. So why does it make sense to have a government funded utility, even though they are technically a private company? They're still really intertwined with the local governments and with the TVA. So what sense does it make to run all that through one place when innovation and spreading out along different platforms is what has really led to the point that we're at right now? Why would we try to re-centralize everything? Why is that something we'd want to do? Maybe you have an idea. What do you guys think?
This is probably not even connected. I know we went from talking about everybody having their own little 5G tower everywhere you go because that's where it's going to go. But I think I found a way to save the world and create a hellish dystopia at the same time.
I love your ideas.
All right, you ready for this? Elon, hear me out, buddy. Before you keep making the world a Swiss cheese paradise, keep with that boring company, man. Chill it out. I hear those sleeping at night, and I can hear your boring drones going into my house looking for shit. Calm down. There's not Nazis under there. I promise. They're on the moon. What we need to do is get this VR stuff straightened out. All right, we got to have the VR thing caught up, which means everybody's got to have their own 5G tower and stuff. Get the VR stuff really kicking chicken, and oh god no. Get the VR up to shape.
I'll taste it.
And instead of busing homeless people, we make a place called the Escape. Yes, that is a kind of like a throwback to the Ready Player One has the Oasis. Mm-hmm. Let's make a thing called the Escape. Wouldn't it be better if we built a giant tower full of headsets and just where people could just plug into the VR, the Escape, to get out of society, right? All the hobos and drifters and everybody who just wants to peace out, instead of killing themselves, you can go to the Escape where you just drift off into a Ready Player One / Sword Art Online existence. And then we also, while you're in there, we have to pay for it. So we start slowly harvesting your organs and crazy stuff.
That's
like
what they're doing right now. That's what we talked about this in episodes before about the metaverse and how that's the idea eventually is to have us in there where we're in a virtual existence.
Yeah,
because
I'm talking about using it for criminals though. I was my ultimate thing is I think we're heading towards
that doesn't sound so bad. If
well, it sounds more tame than Running Man, but that's where I think we're going.
I'm just saying if it's like people chose to do it, like okay, you make the voluntary choice.
That's what makes America so scary. Everything you do is you volunteered to do.
And I think basically the idea is right now they're going to coerce us through economic means into basically signing our life away into this kind of thing because the real world is going to be so shitty that it'll be better to exist in a digital universe.
Come on into the Escape.
You can't get you might not be able to afford new shoes in the real world.
Because so that's the end of the dang Matrix, man. They didn't make the people plugged in. They were like, come on in, baby. There's a steak and a hot dip waiting on you.
Got some chats here. Let's see. Jimmy says, I've been watching for a couple of these for a couple of days, and I really enjoy them. Thank you, Jimmy, for tuning in. I appreciate that. Again, I'm going to be in touch with you very shortly. Spill the tea all over me says oh yeah, we already got that one. Adult sudden death syndrome's on the rise. Dalton says, glad I never got those shots. Jimmy says, as far as vaccines, who knows what the long-term effects could be in 5, 10, 20 years. Yeah, absolutely. Spill the tea. This is the first mRNA shots we've ever been given. We don't really know. I'm not saying that they are doing anything, but the fact is we have not tried them long enough to really know. And the mRNA shots that were tried before, like, really fucked up the chickens and stuff that they gave them to. Like, what was that disease? I can't remember now that they got from it. Morgellons disease, I believe, or it was like full body tumors. But spill the tea all over me. Says, interesting, LOL. Jimmy says it's simple. They want to control. Dalton says, you're right, Jimmy. And Sam for the win. We haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for coming. Hey, friends. Nice to have you with us. Yeah, we were just kind of getting towards the end of the program here, but we were talking about the internet being offered by the public utilities, and I've noticed
everybody having their own personal 5G helmet. It's going to look like a little thing you wear on your head. It's going to go boop, 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 spin around and have a little light bulb.
Well, I think that something like that.
It'll be a furry helmet. Everybody wants to wear those heads and stuff anywhere. It'll just look like a giant rabbit head.
You remember Google Glass? Did you ever see those? Google Glass. Did you ever see that video where there was a lady, she was testing them out, and she was going around, and she was like a scientist-looking lady. She was like a very conservative-looking, conservative dressed, demure-looking, and she was walking around, looked very harmless, and she was wearing Google Glass, and she had people just constantly attacking her, chasing her, yelling at her, telling her to get the hell out of here. When she was recording with this glass, this was about 2000, probably 6 to 8, thereabouts.
And everybody's doing it now.
Yep, constantly. It's like nobody even cares.
People doing it voluntary now. Like, everybody, I mean, even myself, has a dang camera on their door because there's been so many break-ins. I was like, well, I'm not going to wait for it to happen. So, I mean, they're voluntarily, just because of higher crime rates. I said, yes, a mysterious company that I don't really trust, you can put a camera on my front door. You can see me out in the front yard screaming at God every morning when I take the dogs out because I have really deep-seated issues and I got to work them out in the morning before people meet me. So Google knows that about me now. They know I like to pee off the front porch at midnight, and I don't care. I ain't gonna stop doing it. I don't have any neighbors, so you just got to see that.
All right. Take that, Google.
You're going to hear my stream of consciousness, and you're going to see my stream of pee.
Put it on we'll call it the shaft cam.
Go out there, wide ass, just.
Well, here's the main thing I wanted to get into. We got a Twitter thread from Billy Binion. Yep, at Billy Binion on Twitter. He says, today the Supreme Court covertly destroyed a precedent handed down exactly 51 years ago. Federal cops who try to kill you, who jail you on false charges, who violate the law in grotesque ways are now shielded from accountability. I'd like to explain how we got here. Tell us about it, Billy. Let's read it together.
Did it start with defund the police?
Well, let's just listen to what Billy says. It's a short thread here. On June 21st, 1971, SCOTUS ruled that federal cops could be sued after they barged into a man's home without a warrant and strip searched him. But the court has continuously undermined that ruling. 2 weeks ago, it did that again, and today the justices quietly killed it. In 2011, Officer Heather Weicker made up a sex trafficking ring and jailed a teen girl for years on bogus charges. A court said Weicker broke the law, but ruled she can't be sued because she was working for the federal government. And today, the SCOTUS let that ruling stand. And there's an article from Reason here about it. In 2019, DHS agent Ray Lamb tried to shoot a man with whom he had a personal beef, quote unquote. His gun jammed. A court said Lamb broke the law, but ruled he can't be sued because he worked for the federal government. Today, SCOTUS let that ruling stand. In 2014, Customs Border Patrol agent Eric Egbert assaulted the owner of a bed and breakfast. The man complained, so Egbert sent the IRS after him. A court ruled that Egbert violated the law and could be sued, and then the SCOTUS overturned that 2 weeks ago. In doing so, the Supreme Court effectively said that federal agents performing immigration duties have free rein to violate your rights without fear of recourse. They are, in some sense, above the laws they enforce. Quite the job perk. Today's decisions are far subtler, and yet they're worse. By declining to hear the two cases, SCOTUS has let the ruling stand, so it's not just immigration officers who are above the law, it's federal cops who abuse the Constitution while conducting normal domestic policing. Consider the absolute absurdity of these decisions. A teen girl lost 2 years of her life on charges that the court admits were pulled out of thin air. A man could have died, and yet neither victim will even have the right to ask for a jury for some sort of recourse. Now, doesn't that seem to be in violation of the First Amendment there? Don't we have the right to petition for a redress of grievances? Wouldn't that include if you are falsely accused or falsely murdered or attempted to be murdered by federal law enforcement? Should you not have some legal recourse there? And apparently you don't. There is some civil recourse. But it's basically, Billy goes on to say it's not just about those two plaintiffs. It's about all the future plaintiffs who've had their lives destroyed by the federal government who have no ability to hold them accountable. Now, here's what really makes it concerning to me is because the way, okay, they have the separation of church and state, which was, again, as we've talked about before, that was the original intent of that was to basically keep the government out of the churches. It was not so much to keep the churches out of the government because the founders of the country had just escaped a religious, theocracy.
Yeah.
So they were trying to basically keep the government, because the Church of England was run by the government, and they were trying to keep the government out of the church with that part of the First Amendment. But they often use that the First Amendment to deny like when you hear about a kid who couldn't pray in school or whatever, it's because that school receives federal funding. Well, doesn't all law enforcement receive federal funding? So can't we see a future where they say, well, this is federal funding from federal law for law enforcement, even though it's a local law enforcement, the Constitution will apply, or this ruling will apply down to the local level because they receive federal funding. So I think that's pretty dangerous right there. And we already know about qualified immunity, how it's already super. We were talking about that earlier, James.
That qualified immunity is already bastardized, and this is just like upping it to the nth level. But I think this obviously shouldn't be a thing. And if somebody lives under the law, it should apply to everybody equally. And qualified immunity is already bad enough for police force to begin with, and then this just extends it to the federal level, saying, yeah, even though we can't do criminal stuff against them, you also can't do civil stuff. So you can't get any recourse like you were talking about for any wrongdoing because they're working for the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Can I show you why I think this is, I got two theories on why I think this is happening.
Okay.
One, do you think it's preemptive measures? Like, we got to go ahead and, I don't know, really double down on all the laws and stuff for when people really get pissed off. We got the ammunition to go against them. Are you familiar with what they call First Amendment auditors? Do you know what that is?
Yes,
okay.
We've talked about them on the show a little bit.
Okay. I might find some and bring them on a video at some point in time to show you some good highlights. You know what I'm talking about? YouTube.
I've heard.
Okay, well, YouTube, like it does, entertainment does what it does best. It takes something and it either makes it into a jackass scenario where you get the worst, or you get something really clean cut and good. It's really trendy right now to go after like the lowest common denominator. So there's 150,000 pedophile. They call them pedophile to keep the algorithm from catching it. But since you can't understand my hillbilly ass accent, Bixby just turns on at any point.
They can actually understand it pretty good. Bixby sucks though.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So there's all these catchers, and there's also people that are going after scammers like phone scammers, glitter box bomb port scammers. Everybody's going after the lowest common denominator because they have no recourse. You can't go to the cops because somebody tricked you into stealing something that wasn't real. Mm-hmm. And you can't go. I don't know. There's lots of things like that, but there's also these people that have taken the hate of the law enforcement. It's almost like the reverse of people that like to watch A&E, the people that like to watch criminals get their heads kicked in and stuff. They like to watch cops get harassed, right? Now, in the early days of auditing the First Amendment auditors, it made sense because it really was people that were exposing corrupt things. Like, hey, look at this. They're over here patting this guy down for no reason, things that made sense. But now it's morphed into, let's see what we can get away with before the cops smack our cameras and we can start screaming and get a viral video. So it's people that just walk up and technically, yes, you can walk onto a parking lot because it's taxpayers, right? And technically, yes, it's not illegal for you to take your phone and start filming all their license plates and their cars and stuff. But that is creepy and suspicious as hell. You've got somebody walking around your parking lot with a camera looking at all your stuff. So so you have to think that these cops are going to come out there and be like, hey, asshole, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then immediately they fly back at the cop like he's always the asshole. And sometimes they do catch, like, yeah, that's a bad cop right there. And a lot of time, most of the time, you're like, dude, you're coming across as just a dickhead. You need to get out of there. But they have such an A-man corner of people that just hate cops. You can't tell that because the comments are all like, yeah, go after those pigs, get these dickheads and stuff. So what we're not seeing, I think, is with some of these laws and stuff, the normal person isn't seeing the level of dickheadery that has gone towards just the guy that's literally just sitting there making sure the kids can cross the street and stuff, you know what I'm saying? The guy that sees every cop as that serial killing racist bastard.
Yeah.
They've upped the crazy level, kind of, you know what I'm saying? They've upped the crazy to where, I'm just telling you, it's going to get weirder and weirder. I know why they're doing these laws, man.
Yeah, I'm no fan of what the police force is, and like I definitely feel like it needs almost tore down and built back from the ground up if we're going to have a policing force. But I will agree there are people that make an online
You're
career
causing a problem more than,
of cop baiting, and you know, it's like that's just dumb because one, cops, you know, they can kill you and go, I was in fear of my life. So you could literally die by cop baiting. And two, like, it doesn't help fix the problem if you're doing it to provoke a reaction. Like, if a known cop is a bad cop and you're just taking an innocent video and he reveals himself to be a bad cop, then that 100% needs to be shown to the world. But, like, going out to try to bait someone, because everybody's got their limit.
Yeah.
And yes, they're in a position of power, and if they're a good person, they should never abuse that position of power, no matter how mad you make them. But people are still human.
People are human. That's right.
And like you said, I believe that some of these laws can be an overreaction. Like, you know, get into it like, you know, someone was trying to kill Justice Kavanaugh, and like they immediately that week basically passed to give all the justices extra protection, and
everything's met with
and that's the thing. That was an overreaction because yes, there was a guy that had planned on trying to take his life, but that guy changed his mind, called the police, turned himself in, and waited on the cops to come get him, and the media made that out to go, hey, this guy was planning to kill him, the cops had to take him down and they took him into custody, we got to have extra protection. And whether these guys are corrupt or not, whether you agree with their politics, they're the people that are in power, and they're going to overreact and take measures to protect themselves. And a lot of that protection also will give them more leeway and freedom to abuse that power. And you know, that's the whole thing, is they're going to take as much as they can because they're definitely going to protect themselves first. And then this is kind of spillover from that. It's an overreaction to a threat that's not as bad as they think it is. But then, like, going back to people cop baiting, like, that just makes it look like, well, hey, we're just cops trying to do our job, and there's people baiting us. We got to have some extra protections. And I think that all kind of comes together, and they're going to go, well, look, these people are threatening us. We can't do our job as a justice if we don't have protection and authority to do our job and make mistakes.
And I've mentioned on the show before, I'm something of an anarchist myself, and that doesn't mean that I just believe in, you know, the caricature of anarchy of people just, you know, black bloc people setting dumpsters on fire and breaking windows. What it means is that you don't have a state.
It means you have 666 tattooed on your ass.
So in an anarchical society, my neighborhood, there would be multiple security contractors who people in my neighborhood could get together and say, hey, we're going to contract with this company or this individual to provide security for our neighborhood. And if you did have heavy-handed individuals in the neighborhood, we could get together and say, hey, we need to hire another another security firm because these people are, or if they're not doing the job right. But we don't have that recourse. I mean, the best thing you have is a sheriff election, which is every 4 years. And usually, when does a sheriff come in and clean house and fire everybody? It's the same apparatus.
And to your point too, like especially in the Appalachia, like the Appalachian people were known for doing that. Like in history, there have been corrupt sheriffs that have taken over towns with corrupt police force.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specific one I'm talking about, but like the town literally said, hey, nobody that's in power is going to help us, and then they literally armed themselves.
We got to talk about that.
Put them all out.
The Battle of Athens, Athens, Tennessee. We got to talk about that.
You know where are the Rajneeshis by chance? Rajneeshis by chance?
Not tell me about it.
Well, we could do them and your battle episode, but real briefly, it was a guru in India had built up such a following, and he had he had a big following, but he also met this young Indian girl who's super good at just logistics and making things work, and she managed to move all of his followers to this about shut down town that looked like an even more deserted Newland, but it was out in Oregon. And eventually, over the series of years, they just eventually took over the whole town, because if you move an entire cult there and you start voting, bam, you own the town. And they started busting in people. It was really weird, really wild that they literally owned the town.
And here that gives me brings me around to another point. Basically, cities are they're corporations that you make with other people. So it's very akin to something like anarchy, but the only difference is you're chartering it under the state. So you have to follow the laws of the state and the county under that, which in our anarchy you wouldn't have to do that. But a city is essentially enough people getting together and saying, hey, we want to hire a police force rather than the sheriff's department, and they decide that. So basically, anarchy would be that on a smaller scale. It'd be, instead of we all live in Elizabethton, this corner of Elizabethton is different from this corner. So, we're going to hire this security firm, we're going to hire this security firm. And you do the same thing with schools.
They did that in New York City at one point with fire departments, and they ended up going to war.
Oh, really?
That's slightly different, but
I haven't heard about that.
They would literally have fire departments show up to a fire
instead of barrel over
the
it.
first one.
And then they would argue no, we're going to put out this fire.
Okay.
Because back then they weren't funded, so whoever's owned the building had to pay for them to put it out.
Yeah, you also have to watch out because back when fire departments first started in ancient Rome, you had private fire companies who would set fires, and then so they could get paid to put it out.
But literally in New York, there's a time in history where you would have literally 2 or 3 fire departments fist fighting outside of a burning building.
They called it a plug ugly. It was a guy that would come out there and basically tie up the hydrant.
Yeah.
While they worked it out, he literally just wouldn't let, he'd put a barrel over it and sit on top of it.
So the way to avoid that would be
it's like the scene of Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
So the way to avoid something like that would be to have contracts. You're our fire company. We're under contract with you. If we have a fire in this area, you come put it out. So that would have been the way to avoid that without involving the state.
So I know ideally an anarchical society sounds great, but
again, it's
only as great as your people.
And it's only possible really growing out of something like the United States of America, where
do you think it ultimately always kind of becomes cancerous and collapses on itself? Not even as far as I know everybody's the late great fall. I don't think there's any kind of collapse. I think we're just about to morph into the next form of weirdness.
I'll interject an opinion.
Go for it. That's the end of another verbal cul-de-sac. You're welcome to hop in.
Talking about anarchy, I think a lot of people hear the word anarchy and they think of it from a moral standpoint. They think, well, anarchists don't believe anything. They don't want any rule or greater power. And to put it in D&D terms, they think of anarchy as chaotic evil.
Right.
Anarchy in reality would be more chaotic neutral.
And it would be more, actually, it would be still an ordered society.
Yeah, there's still order too.
But ultimately, if you look at what the United States of America was originally, that was as close to an anarchist society as we'd had before they actually became under the Constitution, under the Articles of Confederation. You had a loose-knit group of states who basically set their own rules, and if you didn't like one, you could move to the other, and it would be a totally different nation state. But the whole idea was, let's keep the government out of these things. We've come from places where governments where they run your life, and we don't feel like. Basically, the whole idea of anarchy is is who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I mean, when it gets right down to it, is what makes you so great that you get to decide how I get to live my life? You don't know what's better for me than I do.
How do you convince? Because like, there's obvious like there's some issues you run into when you start dealing with different. Well, you say you're what'd you say you were, an anarchist, right?
More or less. I mean, I don't like putting labels on it, but yeah.
Yeah. I like to consider myself more of an apathist.
Yeah.
Just because, like, for reasons. But like, at what level do you think, like, what level of like anarchy? Like, how do you phrase this? Like, I'm trying to think of a way to, like, do you think it's possible to have like the anarchy thing? Like, how do you sell anarchy to weakness? Like, the majority of what holds up governmental systems is people that just, I don't even mean to say that in a bad way, but like, it's weakness. Like, it takes a lot for somebody to say, I know I could go get this, but I'm going to do it myself. And you start doing that pattern over and over again. If you really pay attention to it, I don't mean to smell like a dirty hippie, but you really don't need that much, because we came out of the earth. It's only common sense that you would think that you could take care of yourself on this planet.
In caves and they ate berries and grasshoppers.
At some point in time, it's a part of what I call parasite theory, that this, I know maybe technology is natural, maybe we make that, maybe that's what we do, you know, but maybe this is a parasite, and it's making us do stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, why are we sitting there talking to ourselves right now in front of all this shit? Like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah,
like, this is hypnotism.
Well, we're hanging out though.
Are we?
And we're talking.
What's up, buddy? What are we doing?
I guess so.
We're essentially three men sitting in a room talking to each other, but talking at a camera. Yeah, there's people commenting and interacting.
And there's probably some guys that work for the Dharma Initiative going, "Oh shit, they're aware."
Well, you know, you think about it. What were the guys
who's over here?
What were the guys who started America doing? They were guys hanging out in a tavern. Of course, they were richer than us. But
were they?
Yeah. But I think a point you might have been trying to make, like with like an anarchic system on a large scale, it kind of ties into like a purely socialist system. Is that, like, on paper, both of those ideas would be a more practical way to live, but and I think, like, America when it first started was more socialistic because it was necessity. Like, hey, you don't know how to make clothes, but
they actually
farm, and you know you don't have money, but I'll go trade the seamstress, 5 pelts of wool if she makes me some pants.
And on a small scale, socialism works. If you have a commune, and I always invite people who are socialists, you should start a commune. I think that's a great idea. And if you start a commune and it's on a small scale, then everybody can still be accountable, and you don't have to worry about things like what ultimately happened in the Soviet Union. If you read Alexander Solzhenitsyn, a good example he gave was there was a man who was so excited for the revolution, and he couldn't wait to be part of the solution here, and he gave up his tractor, his brand new proud tractor, or the tractor that he was very proud of, to the revolution, and within a few weeks the thing was destroyed. And you have also because nobody owned it, so nobody really cared to take care of it. Nobody was really taking pride in it. But not only that, you had the problem of people who did not produce, but they still consumed. And when people who did not produce still consumed, then the people who did produce were less inclined to do so. And it's basically, I think, the difference between the utopian versions of socialism and anarchism is that socialism does not take into account human nature. In my opinion,
that's a point I was going to bring up.
I think Ayn Rand demonstrates that in her objectivist philosophy that we see in things like the Anthem and the Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. And I think that socialism kind of it feeds on, like you said, we're talking about weakness. Socialist feeds on weakness and envy, really, because without those things, there's no reason to seize everything. I guess it takes your weakness and envy and uses it against your political enemies.
And I think that's why socialism or anarchy would absolutely work on a small scale, because on a small scale, if everybody relies on each other, they have to. And they can also hold each other accountable. Hey, you're being a shitty person. We're all in this together. You need to straighten out, because if not, we'll just throw you out in the woods and the wolf will eat you, and then somebody else will learn how to make pants. But once it gets to a certain size, I think that's why a lot of socialist countries start out as socialist and end up as dictator, communist. is once you get to a certain size, human nature is there are always going to be people that take advantage. There's always going to be people that cheat other people and
The
lie.
hierarchy system.
And that's just human nature. Like if everybody was absolutely pure and didn't have ulterior motives, that'd be one thing. But once you get a group of people and it gets to a certain size, you're going to have a higher percentage of those people just by statistics that, hey, I'm going to get what I can get and screw everybody else. And then to help prevent that, you go, well, we gotta make some form of governing body that tells everybody like, hey, you can't do that. You're being dumb. And then once it gets so big, you get corrupt people in that governing body, and they go, well, we're the one that makes the decision. So, I don't want to just, the harvest was low. I don't want to just eat bread and
my family's
grain this
gonna eat
winter.
good shit.
So I'm gonna, say, well, we make the decisions, so we need 80% of the hog slaughter.
Because some pigs are more. What is it? The word that they said? Some pigs are more equal than others in animal form. But yeah, they
More equal.
That's a good point, Yeti. And I think that if you take something like Animal Farm right there, where they're trying to show that and ultimately the idea of socialism is to evolve into an anarchical society, because that's the whole idea. Is we just need the government to take power to remove all if all these people with all this
Do you think
wealth
modern socialists
didn't have
realize
so much.
that though? I don't think,
they
do.
Yeah, I think most of them do.
I think modern socialists really realize.
Well, you've got some
because
people
a lot
who
of them
are.
they can't take care of themselves and they don't even know it.
Well, you got other of them who are just like, I'm a socialist because I want free healthcare, or I'm a socialist because I think that we should, I don't know, have free childcare, whatever. There's different, but if I'm talking actual,
Yeah, I guess.
social philosopher.
I can't see all that.
I got some chats here, but let's see. Sam for the win says, Tim, I agree with you. Why am I sitting at the house by myself watching your old content when we could all just be chilling in person, having a social environment? Well, we could, but it's Wednesday night. That's why we do that on this night. You can still go out on Friday. And
Well, I think you're right there, because this is what we're doing, though. This is what we're going to morph into. Right now, as much as we want to say, well, don't worry about it, y'all. Well, Saturday, we're going to be out there. I'm out every Saturday playing places, and although there's people there, most people are sitting at home on a Twitch or something, watching somebody else do something, watching something. Like, how many levels deep? Like, when I'm going to bring a video some point in time where it's going to be someone commenting on a commentary video, and we're going to be commenting on it, and I hope somebody's going to clip that.
Well, like Friday night, I was hanging out watching Yeti play Doom.
Infinite OBS screen, just going straight.
That's what I was doing Friday night. I was hanging out watching Yeti play Doom. But it's also like, it's a way, like, I like to hang out with Yeti. Yeti lives about an hour away from me. So I don't always have time to go hang out with Yeti. I'm so glad he was able to come over tonight.
Yeah.
But it's a double-edged sword, because we can use it to our advantage, and we can also become dependent on it.
Yeah,
we can get stuck
technology
in
has
it.
some growing pains.
It can help you connect to people that you do live a little bit further away from and have a virtual hangout. And then also it can restrict you off and go, well, I don't feel like taking a shower and getting dressed and going over to Cliff's house.
If I take a shower, God, I'm a county kid, man.
I'll just tune in.
never a decision.
I'll just tune into a stream and feel calm. It's the same thing, but it also ties into the metaverse and VR. Well, why are you just sitting watching your friend on a screen when you can be like you're in the room with individual VR?
Oh, well, like two people with headsets can sit on a virtual couch and watch a movie on a big screen, which, I mean,
Makes me think
that's
of,
cool.
Imagine Beavis and Butthead wearing VR headsets.
Which, speaking of VR, which I've thought about getting an Oculus Quest because I thought it'd be fun.
I'm afraid of I'm afraid the madness that I'll fall into.
but
I'm afraid they'll get stuck in that porn.
I'm afraid I won't leave.
But I think somebody said something about porn. I was going to say, the Oculus Quest is almost cheap enough now that it'll be like any modern innovation in technology.
Jesus.
Innovation in technology is like once it gets cheap enough for enough people to buy it so they can watch porn on it, then it will start to innovate.
That's it.
That's why VHS beat out the beta.
Yep.
That's why
Porn was better.
Porn drives the
that's
industry.
why DVD beat out Laserdisc is because
There's more porn on it.
That's why streaming video beat out DVD.
Beta was a much higher quality, but VHS was cheaper and you could put longer run times on the tapes. So porn backed VHS because it was cheaper. Same thing with CD and DVD and Laserdisc. Laserdisc, you get a higher quality picture on it first.
I'm thinking that King of the Hill episode where he's like, I say, Mr. Hill, sure know your porn.
But DVDs were cheaper.
Yeah.
And I mean, like literally, that's what advanced technology.
Of course, the laser discs were huge too, but yeah, the point taken.
And you even gotta think about cell phones. Like cell phones started out as big bricks.
Yeah.
And then they got smaller and smaller and smaller and got a screen on it, and then finally.
And now they had to make
can't
it
see
bigger
our
because
porn.
we can't see our
And
porn.
finally they realized, hey, I can get on the internet and look at titties, and then they started getting bigger and bigger.
How long before you can set this up and it's going to project your porn onto the wall?
You can do that already.
Yeah.
You can buy a projector.
I'm behind on the times. I want it on the phone though. Like, in fact, I don't even want that.
But
Skynet, what I want you to do is put this sucker inside my head so I can watch
That's
porn
coming.
when
That's
I close
6G. They
my
want it by
eyes.
2030, buddy.
I want to be able to do this and just start having sex with a robot,
It's coming.
but what's
and
funny?
So will you.
just like me.
But what's funny is like somebody had mentioned VR porn, and I'm like, well, how's that different from regular porn?
Yeah.
And what's funny
It's
is
a non-existent person.
if you look up VR porn where they shoot it with real like actors, like real people, and not like games. Like on a regular non-VR headset,
Yeah.
it looks weird because it's just
Too straight, yeah. I told you I've looked at it. It's pretty impressive. I mean,
Hold on a second.
ultimately, it's just from a
Does
3D.
this exist? Hold on. Okay, hold on. I am the internet. I'm sorry, I know too much. Most VR porn is POV. Okay.
Yeah.
Does this exist yet? I know it has to where two people can wear a headset, and I can turn to my date and bam,
be- oh, yeah, I
there's
don't know. Surely,
whatever
yeah.
I want.
That sounds like premium content.
I
but-
think like not in person. Like
Surely it's
you couldn't
bootleg,
see
you know?
the person, but I think you could. I think they have basically games where
like it's gonna look real weird.
They film
Like,
it from
where
two
like I
places.
can turn and look at your avatar, and you can see
Oh,
my
yeah.
avatar. And
No,
but I
dude,
want the woman to be able to
playing,
turn and look at me and see, I don't know, maybe Ryan Gosling. I have to shrink down to make a tiny Brad Pitt, a tall Tom Cruise. I like to say that, tall Tom Cruise, and maybe I look over and I don't know, see like a Teletubby or something. Who knows?
Well, I've been playing.
some weird
I've
stuff.
been playing DayZ. It's not VR, but like if you're riding in a car with somebody,
Crack your headset
you know,
together.
you can turn over and look at them, and they can look back at you, and you can make faces and flip each other off and stuff. And this is just on a PlayStation controller. But so yeah, I imagine that's something that's coming, and there could be something where they film the porn with one person wearing a 360 camera and the other person wearing a 360 camera.
I'm sure that's
you could have
coming,
couples that would
I
experience
want to
it
be
from either
Master
side of it.
Chief, and I want to smash Samus. That's what needs to happen.
yeah, I'm sure that
When they
Will
start,
happen.
when they start licensing,
It's gonna get weird because all of a sudden I'm gonna it's gonna be like a Mortal Kombat character. You get bored, and you hit random, and I was like, all of a sudden I'm Blanca, and I'm supposed to have sex with Kirby.
I'll give it another.
just don't pick Baraka.
I'll give it another 5 to 7 years, and then that's going to be common when everybody's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'll get your instead of your PS5, get your your VR 15," and
Yep.
like as soon as it's lucrative enough for porn to really invest in it, then that's when the technology will be like, "Hey, I'm just going to go to a store and get the new VR headset because it's not $400."
Or you're just gonna go, just
$100.
everybody, and then that's when porn becomes mainstream.
Kind of like those Amico
I mean,
characters,
even more mainstream than it is now.
Kind of like you buy the little Mario and you set it on top of your Amiga set, and all of a sudden you've got the Mario character. You go to the store and be like, "Oh, look, Idris Elba. My wife's gonna be so happy tonight."
Which is,
Honey, I found the Idris Elba.
that's a whole other topic, but that also brings in like, what's the legality of being able to like assume someone else's like visual identity in VR?
Yeah, I mean, we've already got that question coming up with deep fakes and stuff.
Like what if I've got like a fetish where I want to get like manhandled by like For Andre the Giant, like and his family like
Say Andre for the final fight.
You can't use
can his
Andre for
family,
that.
can his family sue me for that? Because
He's already done something bad to you. I don't think they can sue you for assault.
We got a few more chats here. Sam for the win says it's weird. Phone, social media is sort of a parasite, and spilled the tea all over me. Says, yep. Dalton says, so basically greed is one of humanity's biggest flaws, like the Bible says. Yeah.
that is true. Yeah.
Can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The Bible does have some good stuff.
Tim,
Sorry. Do you know where? But do you know where that phrase "throw the baby out with the bathwater" came from?
let's hear.
Like back when people didn't bathe regularly because they didn't have access to like water and everything. Like it was traditional for the family to use one tub of bath water and start from the male, all the men in the house, but they go from the man oldest to youngest.
Yeah.
So usually the babies were last, the toddlers were last because they were younger.
They got all the working men's
And then a lot of time the water was so dirty And if you weren't paying attention, you just literally throw your toddler out in the dirty bathwater.
How dirty was that family by the time it got to the baby?
Shit, I didn't do a chimney sweep.
I was understanding if they're
Okay,
chimney
well, there
sweeps
you
or
go.
like coal miners or something, but yeah, that's where that term came from. Something that was literal, like, hey, don't throw your baby out with the bathwater.
Sam for the win says Tim has a projector. I'm glad I'm not y'all's neighbors.
Oh, I have a projector. You don't want to see what we got. I planted trees specifically so people can't see what we watch.
Yeah, that's
Spill the tea all
Dark
over me.
crystal
Like,
corn.
spill the tea all over me. Thought that was pretty funny. And Solo Ree is back with us. Hey there, Solo. It's good to have you back. Haven't seen you in a while. So glad you joined us. It's very expensive.
VR, I assume.
Yeah.
yeah. But you can get
Especially when you crack faces
you
because you
can
go
get,
at
you
each
can get the
other.
base Oculus Quest for like 200 or 300 now.
Yeah.
But technology wise, like doing the base Oculus Quest compared to like PC VR is kind of like saying, hey, I'm playing Doom Eternal on Switch compared to I'm playing Doom Eternal on PS5
Right.
or like my high-end gaming PC. But yeah, it's got games. You can do VR on it. You can get online and be in virtual chats with it. But like the hardware's like limits like how real the experience can be.
Solo
But you can
says
get into it for like $200.
Solo says, holy cow, I never knew where that saying came from. Thank you. Yep. Yeti's
You're
full of stuff like that.
welcome.
Hey, listen,
Use
Yeti.
knowledge.
I haven't mentioned it yet, but Yeti's, I did mention it, allude to it anyway, but Yeti streams on Twitch on Thursday nights at 9. Is that right?
Usually Thursday at 9.
Yeah. So if you want to watch him play video games that and just hang out, it's pretty cool. We hung out. He did it Friday night this week, but
Yeah, I did.
hung out for a couple hours, had a good time.
Which I had to miss a stream. I already said if I do that again, I'm going to do a makeup stream where I actually have somebody give me just a full, beautiful face of makeup as the makeup stream.
All right. Well, listen, I put his Twitch handle in the description of the video, so go down there and click on that, and you can tune into him. And I'm glad he was able to join us tonight. If you haven't yet, what are you doing with your life? Please like and share and subscribe to the video. Send it over to somebody that you know who might like to hang out with us.
Get them stickers yet?
I've got them made. I haven't picked them up yet. So we do have stickers. Email me at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com. If you like our background, let me get it from a different angle here so you can see a little bit better. There we go. If you like our background, you can get a 4x4, a sticker of that that's put on your car, and you can let other people know about the Iron Mountain Hour that way. Because if you don't share it, apparently YouTube is not going to, since we talked so much shit about Pfizer and Moderna a week or two ago. Again, I told you our views were going like this, and then we thought, I talked shit about Pfizer and Moderna, and boom, zero growth since then. So we really need you to share this around with people you think that might like it, especially if you're in the Tri-Cities or the Appalachian area. Would really love to hear from you. Hey, Spill the Tea All Over Me says, good to catch a live show, guys. And Dalton says, what's the topic for Sunday night? Let's see, what was the topic for Sunday night? I had one picked out, and I've forgotten it now.
I don't know what she was going to talk about. I'm probably going to do you don't get to vote if you live in a city again, but I also I have another topic I want to bring in, and it passed my mind just now, but
I'm going to get into something techie, I think, because it's been a while since we've done that. And we've got the crypto situation going on with the stock markets and the crypto markets bottoming out.
Every crypto keeps boggling out.
That'd be a good topic to get into too, because we're actually talking about GPU prices crashing earlier because the crypto market's crashing. So that kind of ties in with that topic.
So I'm also going to find a local. I found a neat little local advertisement paper where local businesses advertise, but they also have historic stories in there. So I'm going to get into a little bit of find something in there that's particular to our local area. There's several things to choose from, so I'm going to get into that, and then I'm going to get into a little bit more depth in it, and kind of get back into that, because I was doing that every episode, picking a local topic and sharing something about our area, and I've kind of got it now to the habit of that in favor of doing local news. So I want to get back into that some, so I'm going to do that too.
I really want to get back into talking about how if you live in a big city, you don't get to vote.
Yeah, well, I love hearing you talk about that, and I think that if you live in a big city, you should get to vote on what happens in your city.
Not the
and
president.
That's it. So, Jimmy says, sorry, I mixed the first half of the show. That's all right. Just tune back in, and you're here now. We appreciate you. And Solo says, you guys are the best. Thank you. Well, Solo, you're the best. You've been with us a long time. Thank you for joining us. Actually, we got several people that's been with us for a while here tonight. So thank you all so much. We're glad to have you. It feels really good to have you guys in here. I swear to God, I'm going to get it where you guys can call in and you can Skype in on us. I guess we could really do that right now, but usually it's on Wednesday night.
It's so buggy with me and you doing it.
Yeah.
When we know what the bugs are, I can only imagine how to explain that to somebody on the other end.
Yeah.
Do you have another Do you have another input you could use for an audio?
Well, I'd bring in just the NDI audio, so it comes in straight from there, and I'll take my audio out of it.
Headphones the biggest issue?
Headphones would help, but I think really Wednesday nights would be the most appropriate time to take calls because we're usually doing a topic where we're constantly talking, and it's hard enough to get us done in 2 hours anyway. So I think Wednesday would be better for call-in shows.
Which I've not looked into it, but like something that might work is if you had like a burner prepaid cell phone or even somebody's cell phone you didn't care to give the number out for.
I mean, no.
If you had a line in, you could run the phone audio jack into your line in and then just have people call the phone number.
I wonder if I just did a Google Voice.
You get like a data, like one of those data apps.
You could probably do Google Voice. I haven't really fooled with it much. That was just like my immediate thing. Like if you had a prepaid just for this, you could be like, hey, here's your number. Call in.
The number to the show. Actually have a number to the show. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be good. That'd be better than just having a link to click on Skype that doesn't work. So we'll try to get that going for you. Hey, appreciate you guys. If you, again, want a sticker, then hit us up at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com. I'm going to do them 2 for $4.
Oh, we should do a movie topic at some point. I know we keep bringing that up, but we need to do an episode that references King of the Hill, or at least shows in general, and I want to do an episode.
Let's do a Mike Judge episode.
We can do Mike Judge.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah.
And I want to do specifically a segment where I talk about the first Conan the Barbarian.
Awesome.
That'd be cool,
So.
Now we'll talk to you about that, and we'll have a good one coming up for you this Sunday. Again, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants on this, and a lot of it depends on what's happening in the news. I've got my black book back here where I've got lots of notes and research and stuff, but it's kind of like what is topically, what's topical at the time, what's going on in the world, that we decide which one we're going to get into.
Oh, and
sometimes I like to wait till
I remember before the show you said that you wanted to explain next week what the difference between Attack on Titan and high quality vor actually is.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, well, I tried to say that Attack on Titan was just high quality vor, and you were like, no, the storyline, how vor was actually not just specifically, it didn't have to have a storyline. And anyway, Cliff's into some weird porn at the point, and Tammy is going to capitalize on that one of these days as soon as I get these great minds together.
Dalton says, gas them geese, if you only knew, Tim. And I'm going to tell you about it, but it's going to be off the air. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you having us and in your home and hanging out with us. Man, those are some good show ideas. Thank you, Solo. Well, show up with us on Sunday and we'll discuss them. Hey, we'll see you then. I got to work in the morning, so I'm getting off here.
See y'all.
Bye. Yetimusmaximus on Twitch. Thank you,
Yeti.